Hi everyone, Aisha Alaagib. I think I'm so excited to celebrate with you all. Has been a great journey and a great year. Yeah, next slide. So a little about me. I'm Aisha Alaagib, originally from Sudan, Africa, and I think my background in mathematics, computer science. And after graduated, I got very passionate about AI, where I started learning about different topics in AI. And then from there, I got passionate about communities. I found that many people who are engaged in the fields, they are part of communities, but why we cannot have this in Africa? And then I start thinking about my own countries, where I start organizing one machine learning data science Khartoum, and then I joined deep learning in the organized team. I'm also part of Black in AI, and I started also thinking about research community who can give you chance to collaborate, and then do great project like Aya, which is like Cohere, and also thinking about language in Africa. Then I will mention Sakani. So yeah, this is about me. Next slide. I think when I talk about language, I will remember after finishing my school, I had to travel outside of Sudan, which is still in Africa. And then I was really, shocked about language at that time. So I speak Arabic and maybe a little English. And then I went to the country where it's like language was French. French is still a global language, but I wasn't that time speaking. I was really struggle learning French still now, but at least having some words. But then after that, I got to travel to several African countries where I had to deal with local people there, and I couldn't. It was really challenging for me. So in Europe or in the other countries, when you go out, you can use app to translate your language to other language, and it's easy to communicate with others. But here in Africa, I found it's really difficult. Not even using what's even the language is not even represented, is not even discovered yet, and that's really got to me the importance of our language, how we can represent it and make sure that we're represented. As Nanjara said, language is not just a word; it is construct yourself and orientation toward the world. Attempt to make sense of external phenomenon. Language is the hands which our minds reach into the words and try to make sense of it. So that's why we want to represent our language to reach to all the words and tell them about Africa. Next slide. Also if you start thinking about African language, the first thing you look for, which is resources, where can I start from? For example, just thinking about how many languages in Africa. Then you search in Google, you want to find number of language. Then if you have a specific language you want to do research, you are looking for maybe data sets or maybe some papers to read. So thinking about this in the past, we have maybe we miss some resources. We think we ask people to start to doing research. So in the past few years has been great work done about collecting language and having great resources by published papers, maybe creating African data sets. Even the government start thinking about the language and now making sure that all the language can be well known, which is make it maybe some of the social media resources extract data set from social media and make it public to researchers that they can use. When think about resources, I would like to really mention the community. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So when thinking about resources, I would really like to mention Musakani, which is Create Community has been based in Africa for last years. And the idea of Musakani is we build together. I think this is the idea of AI as well, which is Kuya for AI when building AI. It's trying also to make sure that most of the language represented. Then Musakani also bring researcher not from just Africa, from all over the world, and work together and learn about African language. So I would really say thank you to them. Next slide. Yeah, so joining Aya, when I joined Aya in the beginning, so it was like I think last year January. I was from like I was a part of the core team, Team City. Thanks to Marzia and the team. It was a really nice opportunity to work together. And then after that, like after working on data sets, I got the chance to maybe about regional leads. And then I asked Madeleine, like, hey, can I be like in the core team and regional lead? And that was a really great chance because I thought maybe since I have been in several African countries, I know some language, not speak, but at least I know people who speak it, then it can help by bringing people to the community. And yeah, I thought it's very easy, but it was really challenge. So also like getting to Aya, it made me think about like Africa has the second largest number of languages the continent, and it has over 2,000 language. And it's only Arabic that has been known for the top 12 language speaking. And if you know that Arabic is not just for Africa, it's also for Asia, right? Like other countries in Asia. And this is like really an opportunity for us. Like, okay, so let's study African country, African language, and make sure that we're represented in AI. Yeah, next slide, please. So when we started working, I started like a regional lead, and then I got the chance to focus on 15 language in Africa. And yeah, this is not covering all African languages, but at least we had chance, an opportunity to represent 15 languages in Africa. Next slide. Yeah, working on this language will not be possible in the beginning until the end without ambassador. So I would really say thanks so much for all our ambassador. For each language, we had to recruit ambassador. The idea of getting ambassador for language is like getting someone who native in the language and know the communities. We didn't have any specific constraint about ambassador. We just call social media and ask like if you will be interested. It's just like quicker, like if you have the time and bandwidth, and you can make sure that like you reach to the community. I think we had over 18 ambassadors along the way, and thanks so much for people who joined us for a few time or for who stuck us from the beginning to the end. It was a really nice opportunity working with you all. Next slide. Next slide. Yeah. Yeah, so when we start working with ambassador, so we could recruit ambassador at the same time because we have to call for ambassador each time, and then sometimes you get ambassador, sometimes they get busy, sometimes maybe you need to call for more because we need more contributors. So we start posting in social media, and then we ask ambassador to post in their community. So ambassadors, they will really be helpful and working really excellent and great. And they started not just calling for contributors in social media, but they also start sharing about their motivation and how this work can help us and what is in their opinion like what IA means to them. And yeah, I really like some quotes from some of the ambassadors that they used to share to motivate people to join IA. So thank you all. Next slide. Yeah, and then as I mentioned, so ambassador once they start working, we had like you join Discord and you have your own language channel, and then you start talking to your people there. I mean, there's no there, like just talk about anything, and there's also opportunity to make a networks, know people from your community who are working NLP or working in different fields, and then care about their language. And then like other opportunities for people to connect, not just in Discord, to ask them maybe use your own platform that you like. So we had a group who using WhatsApp, Facebook, and yeah, you would be hearing about great story from some of our ambassador next. Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I thought in the beginning, as someone who have been traveling around Africa and known like many Africans, to be easy for me to get contributors and reach out. And then the idea is like in the beginning in July, not the beginning, like during the way, like in July, we had only 4 language and we were aiming to have 50 language, which was really challenge. And then I thought about it, like reaching to people, like you need to think about it. Who care about language, not about just reaching to researchers who are doing NLP. And I think that was really great. Then start thinking about maybe undergrad student. I think as just like what we heard in the panel before, like if you want to recruit contributor or ask people to make some changes, you are looking for maybe young researcher who care about their language, care about the topic that they want to work on. And I think that was really amazing for us to think about it. And for that one, we had to jump from having just only four language to maybe like having one language in a few months over 10K, which is what Malagasy, and it was a really great success from them. And we had over five language, over 1K in the next month, which was August, and then we start increasing. So along the way, we share the update maybe every 2 weeks or every month about like, hey, this month we have been increasing the percentage. Thank you, Madeline, for sharing over social media and for helping us. Next slide. And yeah, here we go. And then at final, like at the end, we had to celebrate four language over 10K and two language over 5K. And then we had four language over 1K. We had three language over 100, and maybe just only two language 100. Those language there was maybe just like a ambassador, I think. So all the languages has succeeded. I would say like really shout out to their ambassador. It was really great work. Because like having just maybe less than 100 is yeah, we didn't have ambassador for those language. That was why, like, the reason. So otherwise we should have reached the goal for all the language. Next slide. Yeah, so I think our status it was we were the second region in yeah, like for task one and task two, and we have also two people like from Africa who are in the top 10, and we have more than eight in the top 20. So congrats to everyone for making this, and thanks so much. Next slide. Yeah, then here times to celebrate. Now we have done the great work, and thank you so much for all the ambassador, for all the contributors, and for all people who join us along the way. And this is not the end; this is just the beginning. Like building this kind of project is open all our eyes, not just for NLB. I think for me, especially, I got to think about like open resource for Africa. Like for example, like I'm someone who excited to work with you special as well. And then I got to think about like, okay, can we make our own data, maybe about mapping Africa, and build this kind of resources and make it available for all young researcher, other researchers that to work on. Yeah, and I think that would be good. Also, one thing to take away here is like, is thank you so much for Korea for AI giving opportunity not just for researcher, for also young people who started their journey. And I think this is a success for Malagasy and Somali team. So they were like just like undergrad students who work on a project and they decided to represent their language, who get to work together, and they were the top language in the leaderboard. Thanks so much, everyone, for this great work. Yeah, I think that's for me.